As the countdown rolls down and we go to zero, it means it's just right after noon. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Monarchs Live. Dan Vaughn, voice of the Kansas City Monarchs, with you. A special edition today. We have a lot of things to get to. I'm going to tell you about it next. Let's roll the open in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. I love that jam. I love that open. I kind of feel like, and I got kind of my newsy sweater on here. I got the kind of the newsy newsboy look from the 1920s. So I kind of feel like I should be, at the corner there and passing out, the newspaper saying, "Hey, Monarchs win the championship," something like that. You remember the newsboy thing, right? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Anyway, great show lined up for you today. Special edition, and I'm going to tell you that first off the top as I bring you the lineup card today. And the main reason is we're doing this today is there's been a lot of main reasons, but basically there's been some weather. That's part of the reason we didn't come to you on Wednesday as originally planned. And that's the main thing. But we've been kind of sitting on this for a while. I wanted to break down into our annual schedule rundown, our schedule show. Now, most of this is already out. The old T-Bone schedule for 19 of the Monarchs 2021. There are some, and that's all coming up. But first off, I'm going to see Michael, GM, Jim, and Jeff, everybody out there. Glad you guys are along. And that is the main crux of the show. But I thought it was very important to, we're going to do a schedule show. Probably the person who's been watching for the schedule as much as anyone, besides maybe myself and maybe Joe Caff-Pietra, is Morgan Kalinda. She's going to join us in just a moment because it's kind of like it's spring, winter, Christmas for her, because this is, you wait all year for the schedule. When the schedule comes out, you can start putting ideas and what you're going to do in the game, and it's all kind of starts to come together. Once you see that schedule, whether it be in a normal non-pandemic year, maybe October, November, and this year with all the things that have gone on, it's in February. But that's really when things kind of kick in, okay, that's what we're going to be doing. And I look at it as a broadcaster. I say, okay, that's where I'm going to be July 4th, Labor Day, whatever. My brother's birthday is this day, and I'm going to be here. Where am I going to be? And what kind of thing to look forward to? So it's pretty big. So we're going to go through that today. Also got some Monarchs 101. There's really cool things going on at the museum as well. I'm going to tell you about a couple things I was a part of just watching, but I'm also going to give you a little Monarchs 101. We've kind of skipped over to a degree the opening of the Negro Leagues. We should probably do that and talk about how that was founded, and we're going to go through that. I'm actually going to come right out of the book that I've been reading and go back a few chapters from the very beginning and pull that up for you. That's all for you right there. But before we go any further, let's get this thing on the road, and let's go ahead and introduce our guest. But let's give you a little guest intro first. Here we go. Fancy production value right there. Fancy production. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, good. I'm sorry. My audio is a little high on my ears.
Oh, I was like, do I need to talk quieter?
No, never. We can't have you doing that. I mean, you're probably already in, June form with the mic ready to go. But let's discuss. I'm going to move the show around a little bit. First off, how How you doing, Morgan? Everybody, if you guys know who this is, Morgan Kalenda. I kind of call her the guru of the guru of the glue. You guys have seen her. If you're new to the Monarchs, she's really the glue. But good to see you.
Good to see you, Dan. You look great.
Well, I'm feeling good. Let me bring this down right here. And yeah, snowy here in Dallas still. But okay, schedule's out.
Mm-hmm.
It's your first reactions. What did you think when you saw the schedule come out about a week or so ago?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was your reaction?
Well, I'm excited because that means baseball's coming, and we have been eagerly waiting for our schedule for a while. I think my overall reaction is there's a lot of weekends, and that's good when it comes to baseball and the business that we work in, because weekends are always when you can get everybody to come out to the games. You don't have to worry about work getting in the way. So we have a lot of weekends this year. I think we have probably 11 weekends, and then we definitely have a really full July and a really full August, and that makes it fun. Of course, that makes it hotter, but it's exciting, and I love when the schedule comes out because that means I can put my promotions that I've worked on all off season to dates, and it starts kind of forming and coming to life. And that's kind of the best part about the job besides being on the field.
Yeah, I was just saying a moment ago for me, for where I sit, because I'm, with the team 100 games, and I can look at I know there's a season coming in December or whatever, and I know it's coming in June or whatever, but I can actually now picture myself, okay, I'm going to be here in June or whatever. And, you can start sort of, I think it really hits the reality of it, because when that schedule comes out, before it comes out, the season's kind of off in the distance. It's out there, but we'll get to it whenever. But when the schedule's out, it's like, well, dang it, it's right on us. And that gets me fired up. I get the sense that you get fired up when you see that come out too.
Yeah, absolutely. And the crazy thing about the schedule this year, we usually, obviously, as everybody knows, we usually get our schedule as a Christmas present. It comes out kind of early December, and it gives us a little bit more time to plan and get prepared. But this year, because of COVID, that schedule got pushed back so late. And so it kind of puts you, 1 or 2 months behind your normal schedule. So you're frantically trying to put everything together and making sure that, all the teams, the traveling and all of that. And Jay has done a great job with Joe as well to make sure that our guys aren't on the road for such a long time, or they're not doing, 1-2 day bus rides and things like that. So, but it's definitely been a game changer, as the entire year of 2020 was, and this year too, because we're all in a frozen tundra, but it's definitely exciting.
I'm going to put I'm going to go back through this a bit later, folks. So don't panic, because at the end of the show, I'm going to give you 4 tough spots, but you may not be able to make it out there. But opening day, an interesting opening day this year. And I really love this opportunity. This is one of those classic cases of, when you get some new blood, new energy in the ball club, which we do have. Opening day is actually going to be an opening day. It's May 18th against Lincoln. That's going to be a little different this year, because we're not going to be playing under the lights. We'll be playing actually a real old school opening day. That's kind of exciting.
Yeah, we wanted to do it at 3:00, kind of to mimic, what Major League Baseball does, is they always do their opening day, either at 1 or at 3, just to kind of add to everything. And then we do have another thing in the works where we're kind of doing, basically, you talked about it actually at the beginning of the show, where you wanted to be on the corner with the newspapers and things like that. Yeah. So we have something in the works related to that as well. I can't really give you a whole bunch of details on it because we're still kind of working it out. But yeah, opening day will actually be an opening day. It'll be at 3:00. It's a game changer for me, because I've never had a 3:00 opening time. I've always had 7. So
yeah, and you're right though, because even here, in North Texas, for example, the Rangers, I use them as an example, they always play opening day. It's a day game. And one of the reasons they do it here is because it's so blasted hot in July. You don't want to get many day games. So April weather in Texas is the reason why it's like being most of the Midwest. The weather's usually pretty nice, and it's always been some of those things. But in the minors, for some reason, it seems to be more of a evening thing. But I love
Right.
this. This is a great opportunity to really engage the community too as well. I think it's exciting. And the only drawback is, for you and I, we know this. We're as those days leading up to opening day, we're tapping our toes. Going, dang, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. Well, now you've lost 4 hours of prep time. So those 4 hours you got to make up somewhere. So you better start 4 hours early 2 weeks before, right?
But I will say there's a bunch of reasons, but one of the good reasons is in May, it's nice during the day. It's nicer. But in the evening games of May, I'm always in, leggings and a kind of a hoodie. So it'll be nice at 3:00. It's probably going to be about 65 degrees, and that's perfect baseball weather. I know these guys appreciate it more than it being 100 degrees.
Right. Oh, there's no doubt. The holidays, the 3 holidays, usually is the next thing we always check. 4th of July, Memorial, Labor Day, 4th of July, those 3. We drew a little holiday action this year, I believe. Let me pull this up. I'm going to get the actual June schedule up here. So this is going to come back. We're going to use this a bit later on here. But what do we know about the holiday schedule this year?
So we definitely have a game on Memorial Day. That'll be, I believe, a 1:00 game. So there's Sunday, the day before Memorial Day will be a 1:00 game, and then Monday as well will be a 1:00 game. So that'll be a quick turnaround. We have a game on the 4th of July. The time for that game is not at 7:00; it's at 3:00 now, which is a little different. And there's
I believe does the 4th of July fall on a Sunday? Is that what I'm thinking?
Yep. Right. So we have planned on, we have some stuff in the works that I can't really disclose at the moment, obviously, because, I got to keep it a surprise.
Sure.
And then we're actually off on Labor Day. We don't have a home game on Labor Day weekend, which, to be honest, we have no regular season home games in September, which hasn't happened in a long time.
No, you're right. And actually, I'm going to get to that a bit later on in the show. I'm going to talk about that. That's actually one of my it bookends a tough spot. They're actually one of the tough spots I have in our schedule, but it's actually got a nice spot in our schedule. The schedule really finishes up from a competitive standpoint. I won't get in that just yet, but from a competitive standpoint in the field, it sets up nicely, even more so than the 19 season and the 18 season, which the 18 season pretty set up fairly well. The 19 was a challenge to finish. Yeah. This one is even, I think, better. Overall, there's some pitfalls there, but we'll get to that. Question being asked by Michael Elvins. He's asking, what is the fireworks display schedule? I guess that's always what people want to know right off the bat, right? I mean, fireworks. You're going to be lighting fireworks again?
Absolutely, yeah. So on our schedule, and we'll kind of announce these as we get a little bit closer. Obviously, we always are still working out kinks and making sure that everything lines up and the teams are okay with it. But we plan on still doing post-game fireworks on Saturdays. That name, the Sizzlin' Saturdays, will stay the same because it applies, obviously, fireworks sizzle in the air. So we will do post-game fireworks every Saturday. I can't confirm if we're doing back-to-back fireworks on July 3rd and July 4th like we have in the past. I don't really know that yet, but we will have fireworks one of those days. But yes, we can confirm we will have fireworks, and we might maybe even have fireworks opening day, but I can't confirm that either.
Well, this question comes from downstairs in my famous fabulous studios. Apparently my wife's not teaching today. Any news on a mascot? I don't know what that means exactly, but I think she's wondering if what's going on there. I guess what she's asking. I don't know why she's asking that, but
I get that question literally probably every day over the weekend. A lot of people are questioning if Sizzle will be returning. I love Sizzle. I love everything about him besides the smell. When I've just believe me when I tell
Febreze won't do him any good. No,
he smells like manure if I ever could have put a name to it. But I don't have any news regarding a mascot yet. We are still kind of working out what our plan is for that, but I can assure you we will have a mascot. I just don't know what it is at the moment.
There you go. There's a great answer. A question being asked there about the host families. Do we still have? And I think what David is asking: do families still sponsor players? And that is a unequivocal yes.
Yes.
You want to chime in with that?
Yeah, I actually spoke with Cheryl today. She's our host family coordinator. She's in charge of making sure that our players have a great place to stay. And I just want to give a shout out to them because they're so sweet, opening up their homes to these guys and basically taking them in as their own for the summer. Cheryl does a great job getting the players where they need to go, making sure that they're comfortable. All their needs are met. And then our host families in general just do a fantastic job. So shout out to them. But she actually is looking for 3 more families. And she's asked me to kind of put a drop in there to make sure if you are interested, just feel free to email. Obviously, there's her email on the screen there, but you can also email info@at monarchsbaseball.com, and that will get sent to her as well. But she is actively looking, and she wants us to keep pushing that out as much as possible until she gets those spots filled.
Yeah, there's her email right there on the screen as well for you there, David. But there's the email. I'll also put this graphic up again before we close and give you guys a better view of it. But that is the situation there. But yes, I kind of like my little graphic with the refrigerator.
Yeah,
Like
the
player going to the fridge, getting him some snacks. I mean,
what would have made it even better is if you would have put the little letter magnets for welcome.
Yeah, the welcome, and we had a magnet schedule that'll work too.
There you go.
There you go. There's the good question though. But yeah, Cheryl would be the one to talk to, and there's her email right there. We really they're the lifeblood of what we do. Those folks open their homes and their livelihoods to these young men. And I've told that story about, the relationships these people build over the years with the players, and they go to weddings and christenings and, family and functions. They become parts of their family down the road. Even talked about when Luke Schrock was one of our interns from 2 years ago, worked on my media staff. Luke had appendicitis, and his host family actually was there for him, and the kid was 1,000 miles from home. So, I mean, it's big to have that part of it. It's really a cool thing. GM says best in the business, and there's no doubt about it. We have no doubt. We have no doubt about that. Meet and greet players. Now, I'm going to ask that question too, and kind of bookend it here. What's the fixture? It's Australian for schedule, Vaughn. Come on, we're in America. We're in America. The word fixture is what we use in Australia. When our schedule comes out, now you can start piecing those little pieces. Okay, I got a Friday night here. I got a Tuesday here. What am I? And the staff does that. That's the process now. But you also have some generic plans. Is meet and greet on those generic plans?
Yes and no. So in 2019, and actually for the schedule for 2020 before COVID happened, we had every Monday to be kind of a meet and greet Monday with players. We're on the concourse type of thing. If you've been to the games, and then we always do like a giant meet the team on the field after the game type of thing, usually at the beginning of the season. I don't know if we're doing it every Monday. It's on the schedule to do that. Everything kind of revolves around COVID right now.
Yes.
So one of the stipulations with COVID currently is you can't pass, players can't use markers and then give you something, or they can't hand out baseballs because they've touched them, or we can't play catch with them because of the whole COVID thing. So we're trying to work that out and understand what the safest way to do it. I do have on the calendar a post-game meet and greet with the Monarchs on the fields, just like we have in the past, where it's all of them lined up at the tables and we give you a poster and they can sign it. But it's all depending on what COVID says.
Yes, no doubt about it. And by the way, I'll put that email in the chat here in just a moment. If you guys give me a second, I'll put that up for you guys. It's rolling through here, but yes, we will definitely get that for you. But yeah, and that's the thing. And I can tell you, the everything right now in this 2021 window, it does have that cloud over our shoulder of COVID. So there's going to be all that. That's also going to be thrown into it. So, you've got to remember that. But again, I think the thing to remember is for you guys, the fans anyway, is that there's a plan in place. Now, should we be able to execute those plans due to COVID? Now, in a perfect world, no COVID world, within this conversation we're not having. But that being said, you guys are starting, and I guess my question is, you're now diving in as a group, as a staff, to say, okay, we're going to do this on these days, right?
Yeah. So we're actually currently working on kind of our COVID plan in regards to ticketing. Obviously, Wyandotte County is kind of a high-risk county. So that does take a big effect into what we're going to be doing. We haven't really announced our COVID plan going forward yet because, as always, there's things that could change hourly. So, but we do want people to know, and and like those interested in host families, there is the kind of a COVID protocol, and it's kind of whatever you're comfortable with. Cheryl can dive into that with you if you're interested. But in regards to at the stadium, it's our duty to make sure that all the fans and all of our guests feel safe, and they're always, masks obviously are mandated in Wyandotte County as it is everywhere. Oh, hi, Caitlin. That's my sister. But we are going to do our best to make sure that everyone is safe, social distancing. We have sanitizing stations, things of that nature. So the COVID protocols and the procedures haven't been finalized, but they will be put in place. And it's our we're going to do our best to make sure that when you come into the stadium, you feel comfortable and you want to come back because it went so well.
You're talking, we're talking, I'm talking. I'm Dan Vaughn, voice of the Monarchs, Morgan Kalinda, who really, I call you the glue, but it's promotions, marketing, all the cool social media content, like the player graphics. And I've mentioned this all the time, and she's able to knock these things out. She really does it all. And then, of course, her for being on the field, the atmosphere at the ballpark, and produces the show, and does a heck of a job of it. A very and I say this with
a jack of all trades.
Well, you're jack of all trades, but I say this sincerely. I don't know that fans know, and I know that league brethren know, but just what she does. And I think that it's so behind the scenes, and it all looks like, okay, well, she goes out there and talks to the microphone, but there's so much time behind the scenes. And this is that time behind the scenes. What you're doing now, and I've always say this, what a ball club does now directly correlates to what happens in July, because if you're not doing your work now, behind the scenes, stuff that no one sees, ain't gonna be much fun at the ballpark. But you're doing that now. This is the time to hammer it all out.
Yeah, and especially right now, because if you would have asked me in October if we were going to have a season this year, I wouldn't have been able to give you an answer because it's all so unknown. And right now, it's kind of like you're just scrambling to make sure, because the coolest part about my job is the fans, getting to interact with them, hearing their stories. I'll sit next to a random stranger and I'll just have a conversation with them a whole inning. And then I'll race to the dugout because something has to happen, on an in-between inning. But I think that's the coolest thing. And it's my job during the off season to make sure that you are having the best time possible. And that's the best part about the job, is I get to pick what event is going to happen while you're at the game, or what game is going to take place on the field, or what player is going to catch the first pitch. I get to pick that. And so that's kind of the coolest thing, is there's a lot of work that you guys just show up for a game and it's like, oh my gosh, that was so much fun. But it takes months to plan all of this out. So
yeah, and it's something I've echoed that sentiment so many times. And my broadcast partner in Australia, Paul Morgan, the other Morgs. I have two Morgs in my life. I got you and Paul, and
I'm the best
I got
one, though.
yes, you are. You are. But sorry, Paulie, you're watching this on replay in Australia because it's now it's 2 a.m. But he'll watch in the morning when he wakes up in Australia. But we talk about this. I mean, it's so true, and this is in really any sport, whether it be I'll even use the recent, the Chiefs. The Chiefs are now in their off-season mode. That off-season mode includes not just player acquisitions, but also, what worked for the fan experience, what didn't work, what kind of ticket packages you want to do. Every club goes through this.
Yep.
And it's those behind the scenes things you do in the off season that if you do your due diligence and you're doing what you got to do, your presentation and your show and wins and losses, sometimes you can't control that, but your show you can control, and that's why it's so important. So I hope fans realize that. Vicky says, Morgan, and I will echo this. I will skim this later, but
Thank you.
Vicky says, Morgan, you're appreciated with everything you do,
Thank you.
that no doubt about it. Yeah, you bet, Michael. Glad you joined us here. Jim says Morgan does a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Let's see here. I got vaccinated, ready to roll. Let's see if I missed me. Anthony's asking.
Season ticket question.
Yeah, Anthony's asking, and I went back here. He's asking, how are the season ticket holders be handled with limited people? I think he means, what are the plans for limited seating? Is that an issue? I don't know where we are in that. You may be a little more helpful with that.
Actually, Nick would probably know more about this than I would. I just kind of overhear everything. I think they're working on some sort of pod plan where, if there's 4 tickets that you've bought for season tickets, and then the seats next to you will be kind of barricaded. I'm not 100% sure. Nick he kind of handles all of our tickets now. But I think that's what they're trying to do, is like a pod sort of idea. But I can't confirm that. So
yeah, I will tell you, just from a being out and about, I went to the National League Championship Series, and I was looking at maybe going this weekend to a Big 12 thing with Texas Tech, Ole Miss, Arkansas, and University of Houston, I think, at Globe Life, which is in Arlington. They're doing the very same thing. All these teams are all basically doing the same model, and those plans are in place. And as each individual place, for example, Sioux Falls, as they relax the restrictions, in Chicago, each team will adjust and go outward. And then you may get to a point, we may get to opening day where these things aren't issues. We may get there where one city it is, one city it's not. But we live in a world now where that is the reality. We're going to always be on our toes to quickly adjust if need be. And the good thing is, for us in Kansas City and for the American Association, we've got this mini season behind us where we've had some ups and downs, and we're much better suited now than we were before, as far as that's concerned. So that's hope that answers your question there. By the way, this is the email. I'm putting it up in the screen. Cheryl's email, in case you guys missed it. It's on the chat line now. Some of you guys missed it earlier when I put it up, but Anthony, let me bring that down too. Sorry about that, folks. There we go. By the way, I'm going to have Nick on from Tickets in a couple of weeks. We're doing a segment, Meet the Monarchs, Meet Your Staff. We've never had Nick on, I believe, and we got a lot of new faces to meet as well. You guys have met Mark Brandmeier on our first show on the relaunch at the museum, but there's a lot of faces you're going to be meeting, and a lot of people, to get to know and acquainted with and what their departments are. So we'll be doing that as well. Let's see here. By the way, Morgan Kalinda's with me. Dan Vaughn with you as we are on a Monarchs Live special edition, talking the schedule. And let's get back to that real quick before I let you go. Is there it looks like, from a employee standpoint, it worked out pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
And what I mean by employee, I mean, for me, I'm doing it every day. It doesn't matter. There's no off day except for the ones I get. But you've got, because there's nothing worse than the grind of a season can really take its toll. And it looks like, from that standpoint, it really looks like a pretty balanced situation for the staff to keep them fresh.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. We are playing host, to those that probably don't know or haven't heard. We do play host to the new professional women's soccer team in Kansas City. So on off games, or when the team is away, we will flip the field and turn it into a soccer field. So we'll be kind of manning those events at those soccer games as well. So all of the off weekends that you see, one of those days in the weekends will be filled with soccer. So yes and no. It's a good schedule, but it's a busy schedule.
Sure.
So it keeps us on our toes, and it's exciting, and we're very happy to be hosting the soccer team. It's going to be a great venture for us, and it's great for them as well. It's awesome news that they're They're in the city, and everyone is just thrilled about it. So we're happy to kind of help make that come to life. But it's going to be a busy summer.
It's going to be a busy summer. While I got you here too, for you go, we got this, and folks, I'm going to put this up a bit later too, but I have a segment late. But our game times pretty much, except for the opening day, holiday, of course, Memorial Day, 1 p.m., 4th of July, 3. We mentioned that. Father's Day is at 3 p.m. The Father's Day falls on
the 20th of June.
Yeah, 20th of June. And then opening day, 3 p.m. A game day, we have a day game the 1st of June and a business person special on the 16th of June. Those are both also on the calendar as well. The camp day, is that kind of what we've done in the past as far as getting the kiddos out from the area?
Yeah, so that'll be kind of all the YMCA camps. And of course, COVID's going to take a big effect into that, making sure that they're all safe. So that'll be our camp day. It'll be ran just like normal. So it's a kids' day. So you'll hear Disney music and we'll have all that going on just like normal. So if you like Disney, it's a great day to come out. But
we're going to play the Frozen song about 100 times.
Yeah, we will.
Just over and over. And I hear it all summer, and it's in my head the rest of the summer, and I'm on the bus singing it.
And not to forget, we will be having a Disney night as a theme night later in the season, too. At least I have that on the schedule because that's always a big popular one. But we'll also kind of I'd like to do kind of a kids take over the park day, kind of combine the two themes. While we have all the kids there, I think it's a good day to, let them say a couple of the names in the starting lineup, have them mic a couple of different things. So still trying to figure out what all we can do in relation to COVID and making sure they're safe.
Well, we could do this over and over again, but what we are going to do, and I'm going to announce this now, and I think you agree to this, so I'm going to go ahead and put you on the spot. I do want to do a Morgan, and I'm not sure what I'm going to call it yet, but I don't know if it'll be the Morgan's Corner, Morgan's, I don't know. But when we get, well, first off, during the season, we're going to be doing a lot more, especially in our home. We do the shows during the lunch hour or around actually 11 o'clock at home games during the week, Monday through Friday. The road games, obviously, I'm doing those from the hotel. But when we're home, she's going to stop by a couple times a week and we'll have a total segment because really I get so focused in what I'm doing with the play-by-play and the player moves and this. I oftentimes things slip in the cracks. And she makes sure that I don't let those things slip in the cracks like giveaways and fireworks. And so she's going to be joining us a little more. I don't know if it's going to be Morgan's Corner, Morgan's.
I have an idea.
You think of that. Give it to me.
Why don't you do it's time to get Morganized?
There you go. I like it.
I don't know, because I'm trying to get you ready, getting the fans ready, getting them organized.
And I will put it. I'm going to have some creative fun with it. I'm going to give you a little intro and all that, so it'll be all good. So that's coming. So she's going to be joining us quite often on the show. A little shorter segment, but she'll be joining us on a real regular basis once we get closer to the season. And
I have a song too.
You need to sing me that song too. You need to sing me that song so I can. I'll get to work on that.
My mom will get a kick out of this because she's heard the song and she just cracks up every time she hears it.
Hey, whatever works. I mean, it's all about presentation for us.
Absolutely.
So, well, I appreciate you. I know you got a lot to do. Morgan's Minute, somebody says. Kalinda's Corner. Oh, it's Nate saying that. Nate.
Morgan's Minutes is good, but I think we're doing the Monarch Minute, so I don't want to take it.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, I meant to post one this morning, and I'm saving it. I'm saving it because it's one of the good ones from the book I've been reading. But you know what? Before I let you go, I do want to get your impressions from the interaction with the museum and the ball club. I think that's really cool, and I'll give you an example. Last weekend, they had the 101 kickoff at the museum. I watched it live on Facebook, and then I missed, because of dinner, I missed the Facebook live chat they had a little bit later on with Tay Diggs and Bob Kendrick and the gentleman from Fox 4. But that synergy and mentioning the Monarchs, what is it from your seat there in the front office? How is that synergy and that energy working back and forth? It seems like a really exciting thing that we've got going on.
Absolutely, yeah. Our partnership, it's going great. I work very closely with Kiana Sinks. She's kind of their community engagement manager at the museum.
Phenomenal job, yeah.
Oh, she does a fantastic job. She's in charge of also kind of diversity and inclusion. And we have a great guy in house that's handling that side of it on our end. But I think the partnership is fantastic, and the only place it can go is up, just because Bob Kendrick is just a treasure chest full of just knowledge in relation to this league and to the Negro Leagues and to this name and this brand. And that kind of triggered us to want to do this partnership, to bring this name back to life. And it was a prime opportunity. And then I work with Kiana. She kind of handles their social media, and we are just so in sync with the messaging and making sure that we cross promote each other, because that's kind of what the partnership is about, is, you know, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours type of thing. So it's been going really well.
It is. It's awesome. Well, I appreciate you, and give me that song so we can get your intro going.
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely. I'll text it to you.
Okay, Rockstar. We appreciate you. Much love, and thanks for joining us. And we'll let you go back to planning all the good things ahead for our Monarchs faithful. How about it?
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
There we go. There she is right there, Morgan Kalinda. There we go. Little exit jam for you. There we go. Appreciate her. I tell you, and I mean this wholeheartedly. I've got two girls in school, and one in grad school, one undergrad, and the challenges that they go through. And I've often referenced Morgan in her career and her climb and what she's done as examples for them. And she's been a great example for our two girls, and I appreciate her. And I didn't want to embarrass her on live on the air, but I don't think people realize Morgan is highly respected, highly sought after in our league and our business. Our business has a real close-knit group of people. I mean, it's not very far where I can say there's not many degrees of separation, put it that way. For example, I'll use this great example. King County came into our league this year, right? King County Cougars. Well, there's a connection I have with one of my first jobs, actually my first baseball job. Their GM, Curtis Howell, and I were two front office members, all we had back in West Virginia back in the early 90s. And there's always a connection. And it's always, do you know so-and-so? And your reputation spreads and it precedes you. And in Morgan's case, I mean, what she's doing has been modeled after by teams in our league. I know this for a fact. I know they reach out to her. I won't name those teams, but some teams have reached out to do basically what her program is. And I can tell you as well that in Australia, there have been teams in Australia in the ABL who are modeling what they're doing, their show, to improve to be like what Morgan does. She's got an idea and a template, and what she does is phenomenal. And really, for my buck, there's really two shows in the American Association that I've seen. And again, I've seen them all personally. I've been to all these parks, so this is not just me wearing my Kansas City blinders, but what St. Paul always did was phenomenal. St. Paul was definitely, did a different show, but a great show. And then what Morgan does, and it works. I mean, it really works, and I think she does a phenomenal job, and we should be very thankful. And I hope the fans are, and I really believe that our baseball family, up and down, whether it be front office or just fandom, should recognize her greatness, and I believe they do. So I just throw that out there. She is great. Okay. The show is Monarchs Live. I'm Dan Vaughn, voice of the Kansas City Monarchs here in the set. Glad you guys are along on a Friday. This is our Friday special edition. I had Morgan on a moment ago. We're going to break the schedule down a bit closer, not so much from the promotional standpoint, but I've got four spots for you, four tough spots coming that I'm going to look at and show you that are going to be, I'm not going to say make or breaks, but they're going to be potholes and how you navigate those potholes. For example, in 2019, we had that stretch of that long road stretch, but then we also, the rainouts early in May, which we had no control over, wound up giving us two doubleheaders in the same week. And that pothole got even larger, and we knew it was coming. You know it's out there, and eventually it comes up, and you got to navigate those waters. And we talked about Akeem Bostic, who signed with the club again a couple weeks ago. Akeem was brought in and run that stretch of games in August of 2019 and helped navigate two doubleheaders, getting two doubleheader wins. And a very big part of things. And those potholes, they're there. And they're those things that can either unravel a season late or whatever. And we've seen before. We saw last year or 2 years ago where Cleveland had to finish the season in Fargo. Fargo was pretty good. It was a tough call going up there, and they've actually finished 2 seasons in Fargo, and each time they played up there had a rough go. And sometimes it's that last series of the year, and I'm going to preview this, I'm going to tease this for you guys to stay around. The last series of the year could be a doozy. We'll get to that a bit later. All right, one more. This is a reminder, too. This is from Cheryl and from the host families, and this is, again, the graphic I want to put up for you guys here. There you go. Let me bring this down so you can see it. That this here is the contact details if you are interested. They're still looking for more hosts, looking for a couple more host folks, if I can say it for you there. And there's Cheryl's email right there. Contact Cheryl Reitmeyer at her email address right there. And there's your benefits. And they get all those benefits this year: 2 season tickets to the game, end of the season host family party, and all the benefits of season ticket holders as well. So there you go. And there's the welcome right there, the fridge being rated by your favorite Monarch. But believe me, it's a great, great program. When I say great, great program, I mean that because, again, these are a lot of times, if you choose to be a part of the Monarchs host family program, you may not see a lot of return for a couple of years, but believe me, these guys might make the big leagues. They eventually get married, have children. You become a part of their family. They're on your Christmas card list and vice versa. I can tell you stories of host parents who've gone on holidays and vacations with their former players. And actually one family I know does a trip to Vegas every non-COVID year, and they get together with 2 of their former host players, have a family trip to Vegas because the guys live on the West Coast. They meet the family there. So these are these lifetime relationships that go on, and you see them over and over again. I remember a couple of years ago from a host family from the Air Hogs when they were in the league, ran into me in Australia and just chatted me up because we were in the same league together. It's just a real great program all around the league, but really what Cheryl does is a model program. And if you really want to get involved from a grassroots level, there's no better way than to be part of the host family program. Now, wasn't the script today, but we will bring that down for you guys. Okay. I'll get to the single game tickets on sale. We'll get to that tie in a few minutes. I want to give you guys this segment because this again is Monarchs Live. But this is something that I am bringing to you. It's something I'm very fond of, and we'll bring it to you right now. A little Monarchs 101. Here we go. Go. That's Monarchs 101 with DV. I'm reading a couple of books. Actually, there's 2. I'm going to pull this one out too. I got one of these at the museum, and one of them, they had them both at the museum. This one right here, I'm looking forward to diving into. It's by Robert Peterson, A History of Legendary Black Players and All Professional Teams. It's called Only the Ball Was White. That's the one I'm looking forward to getting into. But have not dove into that one yet. Right now, I'm in this basic, and it's kind of if I was going to teach a class of the Monarchs, this would be probably the first textbook we go in with. I think I would design the class, and I'm no academician, but I'm married to one, so I would say this book right here would be the textbook as well. I'll bring this down so you guys can see a little better here. Well, I'll just leave it there. Janet Bruce, Champions of Black Baseball, the Kansas City Monarchs. A great overview of just the Monarchs, and it has some nice tidbits in it of the league's founding, and we sort of went into it a little bit. I've mentioned this before. We're going to get into this. I'm kind of bouncing around a bit because usually traditionally a 101 class, you'd start with the beginning and go to the end, right? If you're doing a history class, let's say a history of the Roman Empire, you start where it's founded and you go where it was sacked, right? That's kind of what you do. But, well, we're kind of doing that. I got 2 stories for you. This one, then I'm going to go backwards a little bit in time and talk more about J.L. Wilkinson, who I think is a very important figure to remember in this whole Monarchs, the name that you're going to hear over and over again. But I mentioned this when we were down at the museum, the Paseo YMCA down there, just, I guess if you go west on the 18th, it's a block down, basically a block west of the museum, 18th and Vine, that direction. But it's on that Paseo Drive there. The old YMCA. And I've mentioned this building a couple of times. It kind of has, and I don't know, in history, you've got those buildings, right? Those places that things happen. I mean, if you throughout history, you go to, whether it be Revolutionary War or Civil War or whatever. In U.S. history, you sat there and the teacher would say, well, this thing happened at this place. It's just a place on the map most of the time, right? Most of the time. But I think it merits knowing why, the importance of the founding and where it was founded. Not so much the building itself, although it's important. And I don't have a picture for you, but you can see in the book here. Let me see. I put this on the screen for you guys. Oop, there we go. That's how the building looked. And the top there, top picture is Rube Foster, another guy we're going to dive into as well. I mentioned Rube Foster last week because he was in a real big rivalry with the folks in the Eastern League, and they had the Negro World Series in 1924. We talked about that. Monarchs won the first championship of any kind in Kansas City sport, was won by the Monarchs in 1924. But I'm going to go through this quickly here, just tell you the little backing of how this whole thing came about. After World War One, things were a little bit, of course, you had the pandemic during World War One, the tail end of it. Things were a little wheels off. Baseball in general went through some financial ups and downs. There were all kinds of leagues. For example, Pacific Coast League in California was really a little major league. It was growing. But some of these smaller leagues, and there's a lot of, you go through the history books, we've mentioned this before on our travels across the association, you had several leagues just basically come and go overnight. I mean, here today, gone tomorrow. Financial stability of baseball leagues in general, because there were so many and so spread out, they had a hard time surviving at a high level. Now, there were a lot of smaller, satellite type leagues, factory leagues, and that, what have you. But in general, it was hard to get any traction. And this was going on in the early 1900s. Black entrepreneurs, black baseball teams were having a hard time keeping a league together. They'd start one, it kind of get going for half a season and collapse. And that's been sort of a story throughout a lot of baseball history. You see these stories, these leagues that collapse midway through the year. Happens. We saw it happen last year. Spring football. How many spring football leagues have collapsed? So kind of the same thing. But the big thing to think about in this time, early 1900s, was the migration of the black population from the South to the North. You had, of course, the Deep South always, a high black population after the Civil War. But a lot of that migration was going east and also going west. And we're going to talk more about that down the road in the 1950s, when one of the reasons the Dodgers did move west was the fact that there was a lot more folks out there to watch baseball. But a lot of migration was happening. Detroit was, for example, Detroit's a great example. They in 1 year alone, Detroit had 600,000 new residents, all black, just like that. I mean, that's how big this migration was. So you have all these cities, Kansas City being one of them, all these cities north of Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, that were growing. Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, these populations were swelling, which opened the door for the Negro Leagues. And as that population centers, those grew with more, black folks, moving that direction, it made sense to grow the game in those cities. And that's why initially the Eastern League had a big rivalry. It was kind of the bully on the block. They were the ones, but they couldn't quite get their thing together either. And so this flux went on for about 15 years or so. And finally, there had been, a couple leagues that had started and stopped. They had a heck of a time getting these barnstorming leagues going. Booking agents, we've talked about that a little bit, the booking agents problem, where getting ball fields and teams to play, it was a nightmare. They needed a league of their own. They needed their own league to go forward, and one that would be stable and eventually flourish. And that's exactly what happened under the guise of Rube Foster. And I'm going to read this to you. What's interesting is that Rube also recognized the need for the sports writers. Of course, we're talking about a day where radio was in its really, really infancy. Newspaper was the way we got our news. And he thought it was very important. He invited the future Negro National League owners, one of being J.L. Wilkinson. He also invited sports writers from several major papers throughout the Midwest. And he, realizing that, hey, I need the media to help grow this game in these markets. I need the media on my side and to help grow our league. And I thought it's a very key point in knowing that the Negro Leagues also were helped growth by the media. And the fact that Rube Foster invites these executives to the Paseo YMCA in Kansas City, Missouri, and also invites these 3 sports writers to tell the tale is huge. It's a huge thing, because if he doesn't do that, it might not go off the ground right away like it does. And let me read this to you quickly. As Foster originally was the Chicago Leland Giants owner, the Chicago American Giants, who are a well-known team as well. He formed them. He's regarded as the John McGraw of baseball. We're going to get more into him down the road, but Rube Foster was the main key cog here. They've had a preliminary meeting in Chicago, Detroit, but really couldn't get any traction. So Foster decided he was going to invite all the Western black teams and sports writers from prominent black newspapers to Kansas City. And again, that's the difference. The first 2 meetings, he didn't invite anybody from the press, but that last meeting in Kansas City, he did. And that's where this thing helped take off. And here are the list of attendees: the Chicago American Giants owner Rube Foster, and then Tenny Blunt of the Detroit Stars, John Matthews of the Dayton Marcos, Joe Green of the Chicago Giants, C.I. Taylor of the Indianapolis ABCs, Lorenzo Cobb of the St. Louis Giants, and J.L. Wilkinson of the Kansas City Monarchs. And the 3 newspaper writers were Elwood C. Knox of the Indianapolis Freeman, Dave White of the Indianapolis Ledger, and then Kerry B. Lewis of the Chicago Defender. Oh, and a 4th writer, A.D. Lewis of the Indianapolis Ledger. So 3 Indianapolis writers, 1 from Chicago, to help spread the news. And he also invited an interesting story here, and also invited Elijah Scott, a black attorney from Topeka, who also attended. Now, here's an interesting note about this whole founding, this whole meeting that went on. Elijah Scott's son, would later argue for school desegregation in the landmark Brown versus the Board of Education case. How about that? So the father was a legal advisor to the Negro National Leagues. The son would argue the Brown versus Board of Education case. How about that little tie into history right there here in Monarchs 101? Anyway, Foster dreamed of creating a culture, a league that's basically identical to the big leagues, major leagues. And that's what he did. His idea was, so this meeting was set about to form what this league was going to look like and get the owners on the same page, how they were going to share revenue, how they're going to share gate receipts, how they're going to publish this thing in the newspapers, all in a united front. It was that final meeting after the 2 initial meetings in Detroit and Chicago where they didn't get any traction. The final meeting at the Paseo YMCA that went over a course of 2 days, they would create this Negro National League, and the rest is history. And all because of really the shrewd move of Rube Foster inviting not just the owners, but the newspaper guys to say, hey, you guys are part of this too. Help spread our story. And that story spread. It spread like wildfire, and these teams became legend. And that right there, folks, is today's Kansas City Monarchs Minute. Monarchs 101, let's call it. How about that? Not minute. My Monarchs 101. Monarchs 101 with DB. How about it? There we go. I might add too that the one of the tidbits in the meeting the meeting notes that I've read also online is that they went all night Friday night to write a constitution. They didn't just decide, hey, we're going to play. They put a constitution together, league rules, bylaws, all that was done that weekend, right down the street from the Negro League Baseball Museum there at the YMCA, and it's a huge. That building is historical in a lot of respects, but that's where the founding happened over a course of a weekend, and how they made that thing fly, and it really took off. And I'm looking at some of the notes here from different things, and they did things. For example, by the way, that's the book right there, Kansas City Monarchs, the Champions of Black Baseball, is the first one I'm on, and I'm going to bring more to you as well. But the thing is, there's a whole, and I've learned this really through several different avenues. One of them was a class I'm with a church group, but there's a lot of history that I just didn't know. And every story I'm learning from Bob Kendrick, from the museum, are things I didn't know. I'm educated. I love soaking this new knowledge in because it's going to make me a better broadcaster, make me a better storyteller, and the Reign Reborn be a better part of that. And I'm so looking forward to that. So that's where we are. Let's catch up in the chat here. Let's see here. Question was asked about tryouts. Kevin's asking that. That will be announced down the road. We usually just when we do those, Kevin, those are usually last weekend of April, 1st of May, before spring training starts for us. So sorry I missed that for you earlier. Can you post the family sponsor page, please? Again, thanks. Yes, it's up in the, let me put it up there on the screen there for you. You see it right there. Ty asking, when are single game tickets on sale? Morgan, if you're still watching, do you have that? You can put that up for me as well. I don't know the answer to that question, but I would say fairly soon. That would be my guess. We're from New Orleans. My son-in-law will be catching the Monarchs this year. Is there any stream we can? Yes, that's a very good question, Tim. We will. This is what the broadcast plan is at the moment. Okay, at the moment, the American Association has a platform, a streaming platform, and it's the one that was unveiled last season during the shortened limited season, and it was a smashing success. We actually put on bonus content on there. Thought it was very important to do that, and we did. We provided, there's place for highlights and things of that nature, but the games are all home games. So when Kansas City's playing at home against Sioux City, that home game is going to be carried to the American Association site. When we're in Chicago, that home game's carried on the site for Chicago. Now, in addition to that, there'll be a Facebook game of the week that'll be carried, and it might be Cleburne and Kansas City one Friday night or Saturday. Those will be special games that will be offered as well. Now, the streaming service, the American Association, does have a cost. Let me pull that up for you as well. I've got that up earlier today. Let me screen share this for you, and just to show you where to go and kind of get your ducks in a row now. But the American Association site, which is a phenomenal site, and I can tell you, and first I'll put this on the screen for you. Give me just a moment here. Great question, though. That's a very good question. I'll get you updated where we are. There we go. That's the site right there, American Association TV. And let me give you a screenshot of it so you get an idea of what is on there, and then we'll get back to the schedule at hand. Don't have a fancy producer. The fancy producer is this guy right here. Here's the shot of the screen of the association site. What's really cool about this site, by the way, is it's got, let me bring that down because you can't see it, can you? Damn, Vaughn, come on, be a better producer. There we go. But it's got all the games will be on there. When you go to that screen, click on there. It's going to have every team's going to have a page. It'll have all of our games that are archived there. It'll have the highlights. It'll have, again, we're going to do some special content. Last summer, we did, when we were called the T-Bones, we did a Steakhouse Bites. We'll do something very similar. We'll do little tidbits from our shows, basically from our daily shows, and kind of throw a little weekly content in there as well from our staff. That'll be on there. And, of course, our games. Now, that being said, everything else broadcast-wise still being worked out. I do expect for us to be on a brick-and-mortar station locally. That's been talked about. We're still working on that. I don't know how many games will be on, but there'll be some local coverage on the radio. And then number 3, all of our games, home and away, will be streamed on an audio platform as well, and that'll be available on MixLR, which we've been doing that now for 3 years. It's a great thing. It's a lot like this interactive chat back and forth, where you can chat back and forth. And it's great because oftentimes, I may not know the high school name of a player, and the family be listening, and they'll pipe in or whatever and give us a great story. And we meet some great people out there. It's a great way to meet fans, not just in Kansas City, but across the globe. So we'll be doing that. But we have those 3 things going for you. Also, and I've not gotten the details ironed out exactly how I'm going to do this, but I'm planning on adding a 4th option for you folks, a broadcast booth camera. I've got this little bad boy right here. Little GoPro right here. Well, it's in there somewhere. That's the box. I invested in the GoPro, and I'm going to use the GoPro camera as a nice wide shot so you can get a shot of the booth. So you can go on one of our channels. I'm not sure where we're going to put it yet, but you'll be able to watch a live broadcast. It'll be the play-by-play radio, but you also get a chance to be in the booth and see what goes on behind the scenes, and kind of something cool that a lot of folks do. And you can see me go crazy when the team has a walk-off home run. How about that? So there you go. Great question there, but let's get caught up here. I got Catch Buccaneers opening picture roll stay my 10-year-old teen at a film site. Yeah, the Mr. O'Neill Museum, one of the best times of his life. You know, I am so excited about that possibility. I've only scratched the surface on the Buck O'Neill story as a broadcaster. You know, I oftentimes mention his name when the ball leaves the ballpark over the mini monster, but I'm looking so forward to getting insight from folks like Bob Kendrick and others. And I'm looking forward to that, but great stuff. Let's see here. Yeah, thank you very much, Jim. You got that. When will Anthony asking about? I don't know when that'll. Morgan, if she's watching, can chime in for that. I would think that's a question for Nick. I have Nick's. Let me give you Nick's email. Give me just a moment here, folks. Let me give that for you. And this is the man to talk to. He is your ticket guru. And I'm just going to put this on the screen so you guys can check in with him. That's a question really that he can help you directly with, and I know he'll be happy to help you with. So I'll put that on there. That's the guy to talk to right there. So check him out. Okay, let's continue the show. It's Monarchs Live. I got to make up some ground here, but I'm glad you guys are rolling on. A little long, but we'll get this thing rolling here. As Nick's details right there. Okay, the schedule's out. Now I want to give you the month by month here. Let me go ahead and pull this up on the screen for you. I'm going to bring the Monarchs Live graphic down. This is opening week. Now, I put some odds and ends. I'll put this up. Some odds and ends up there. The schedule's out, as we talked about earlier. Opening day is going to be the 18th, 3 o'clock there at the ballpark. And 18th, 19th, 20th, Lincoln. Fargo, again, comes in. So we see Fargo, which we saw them in the opening series of 19, the opening homestand of 19. Then the off day, with the Monday off days will be huge. We'll get to that in a moment. Then the first trip to Sioux City, and then it's a Cleburne stop. Let me bring this back down for you here. You can see the Cleburne stop for 2. Let me schedule things in the way there. You can see that. Bring that down. There you go. Cleburne and then Sioux Falls. So really, the first month, let me bring this up too for you guys. And bring this one up. That first month, division bunkmates except for the Fargos. Okay, so your first stretch of ball games are going to be all division bunk. You're going to see the division all the first round. So you're going to see everybody but Houston in your first swim. So you're going to see Sioux Falls, Sioux City, Cleburne, and Lincoln all in that first stretch of ball games, with Fargo mixed in that opening homestand. Then you've got that off day on Thursday, the 3rd of June. Then you're going to stay with Cleburne again, and then you see Cleburne twice. Then you're going to mix in Gary, and this is kind of the way the schedule works out. You throw Gary in for 3 on a road trip. Then you got Houston for the first time. Then Gary returns, and you're going to get some dose of the North with Winnipeg behind him. Then you got to go. It's a lot of the North: Gary, Winnipeg, Milwaukee, and then you got Lincoln back in. So you got a stretch there in June where, and this is the interesting part about it, assuming the North is tough or stronger or not as strong, that's either a chance to make up ground or not. And we've talked about, remember the 19 season, there were some stretches where the team just didn't fare well out of the division, but was really good in the division, and you want to balance those things out. But that's that first really 2 months of what's going on there. I'm going to give you some more items here too. Let me bring this down. But by the way, questions and comments about the schedule, let me hide this. And I'm going to give you some interesting facts, and then let's go to the 3rd month of the season, right? Here we go. Sorry about that. Got my months my months wind up there. July, here we go. Here's July. Now, July, a little more, it's really the meat of the schedule. This right here is your meat of the schedule. And here we go. Again, much more with the division bunkmates again. The entire month of July, with the exception of the Kane County series on the 16th through 18th at home, and for the series at Winnipeg on the 23rd, 24th. And you close the month with Chicago, but most of the month is right there with the division bunkmates again. And we're going to break that down in a moment, but there they are right there. And that's your July schedule. And I'm going to get to your crucial points. I'm kind of glossing over some things I'm going to get to, because I've got several points of interest I'm going to pass along to you guys. So now let's bring that down. Let's go to August. August looks like this. And here we go. The August schedule is, let me hide this for you guys. There we go. That's July. Sorry. Sorry. There we go. There we go. Let's try it again. There we go. That's July. That is August. There we go, Vaughn. There we go. There's your August schedule. Fargo, trip to Fargo, Cleburne. Then it gets really heavy into our division. There's a stretch there's always that middle stretch of the month of August that's very heavy division-wise. Here it is, Cleburne, Sioux City, and then you got Chicago, then Sioux City again, Milwaukee, Kane County, a little bit of a break, and then that final stretch. Houston, Sioux Falls to close out the month, and then as Morgan was talking about earlier, the club has got a different stretch in September than we've had before, and I'm going to get to this juncture in a moment. Fine, there we go, September. There we go. And September is kind of funny because you put up the screen, it's like, well, where are all the games? There's only 4, or 5 rather, but let me pull those up for you here. And here is your September schedule. And there it is. Sioux Falls as we close things out, off day, and then Cleburne at Cleburne. And I'm going to circle that one on your calendar right there. That end of season series, I feel pretty strongly will be for something important. The goal, and Joe's always talked about this, to play meaningful baseball in August and September. And I feel like that Cleburne series, the way this division stacked up with Sioux City was strong, Cleburne strong. I think Sioux Falls, who was a playoff team last year, I mean, you're going to have some strong division bunkmates. You know, you throw Houston, the traveling team, in there, probably going to be a little competitively challenged. But that series right there, it's come down to this every year. 17, that final series mattered. 18, those final series matter. Remember Wichita came in for 3 in a row, and Kansas City was home, but had Wichita and Cleburne both to close out the year. I'm sorry, Wichita and Sioux City both close out the year, and those 2 series mattered. Winning the 2 of 3 against Wichita and 2 of 3 against Sioux City in 2018 propelled those then Kansas City T-Bones the postseason, eventually eventually a league championship. Fast forward to 19, again, that final weekend of the season. Kansas City winning the series against Sioux City at home. And remember those 2 walk-off back-to-backers? Actually, 3 of 4 walk-offers. And that was a big, huge weekend of baseball. It came down that final series against Sioux City to claim the division while Cleburne was playing up north and we were playing Sioux City. Again, those final weekends have a way of being the big thing. And this year, Kansas City will find themselves on the road at Cleburne, but I think there's an advantage here, and I'll get to that in just a moment. Get to our tough stretches there. So there you go. Yes, you just read that right. One of the new teams this year in the association. The only changes this year, exit St. Paul. Hate to see those folks go. We're going to miss Sean Aronson and company. Winnipeg, Fargo. Then you're going to have Chicago, Milwaukee, the Garys, and then King County. That's your 6 in the North Division. Basically, it's the Chicago metro area and a couple other clubs. And then the Central South Division, Kansas City, Lincoln, Sioux City, Sioux Falls, Cleburne, and the Houston Traveling Club. That's correct. The Houston Apollos is the team there. So you heard that right there. Let's see, a third base side, front row seats. We can't wait to see you. Can't wait to see you and the family out there. We love our Monarchs family. Remodel the schedule, streets on schedule. Yes. As far as I know, I believe that's correct. They've been working hard in earnest on that as well for the season. Okay, let me bring this down. A couple things to pass along to you here on Monarchs Live. Dan Vaughn with you, voice of the Monarchs. That schedule's out, and I've got some things that I want to pass along. First off, overall, opening day is May 18th, 3 o'clock. Love this. I love this opportunity for us to really celebrate opening day the way it should be, under the sunshine. I love this. 10 off-day Mondays. Let me bring up a couple of notes here. I scribbled down here. 12 total off days for the season, 10 of those coming on a Monday. So basically, all but 6 Mondays, you're going to be off. So just basically pencil in Monday being off. It's up from 7 off days in 2019. So the club's picked up the 5 extra off days. That's going to come in handy a bit later on. Let's see here. The way the schedule breaks down too, you basically play a balanced schedule with everyone except for the odd schedule numbers. The team will play an extra game against Milwaukee, the way I've got it written down here. Let's see here. Somewhere. Anyway, but he got 10 off days on Monday. That's the first thing. And then here's your tough stretches. Here's tough stretch number one. Okay, let me give you tough stretch number one, and let me bring this up for you guys because it's, let me bring this up. I'm going to bring this down. Sorry about this, guys. Give me just a moment here. I'll bring this up. When you're the sole producer, you got to do this, so it's not what we really want to do. But there are actually, you know what? Let me bring this to you first. This was the question that Brian was asking. This was the first thing. Let's bring the tough thing down because that's coming to you. As I'm a little out of order here. Apologize for that. There we go. There's your league teams right there. There they are. South Division, North Division. There you go. You guys got me now? I think so. There we go. I think we're back at it. Okay, good. Sorry about refreshing there. Sorry about that, folks, but we lost the internet there. I don't know what the deal is. Anyway, okay, some notes to pass along to you as well that I have not gotten to, but I need to get these to you really quickly here as the hot stove did heat up. I did not mention this off the top. It's been a pretty good week for the club again. And again, I don't know why my video is not coming in there. I just don't know why it's not coming in. But anyway, there we go. Okay, I'm back again. A couple things to pass along to the hot stove. This would happen last night. I don't know if you guys saw this. I'm excited to dive in here. Now, I've not dove in deep yet, but I'm going to. And in the next couple of days, I'm probably about a day behind. But the ball club signing Annabel Sierra, young man who was born in Cuba, but lives in Miami. He's an LS3, AAA guy, AA guy, Round Rock and Corpus, most recently with the Astros organization. There's his shot right there. Infielder. He played 3 years in the Cuban series, the Cuban big leagues, basically, which some folks will tell you that the Cuban leagues are a top 3-4 league in the world. It was a big mystery for a number of years, but we're going to break down his stats for you more when I get the bio done and all that, but I'm working on that. But I can tell you more just from baseball reference-wise. Sierra, again, born in Cuba, and then being in Miami now. Most recently played in 2019 with Corpus, 96 games at Corpus, 15 at AAA, Round Rock there. Career 350 minor league ball games, 20 homers, 114 runs batted in. He hit in AA in 19, hit 204, drove in 25, 5 home runs. In the Cuban series, in 91 games in the Cuban big leagues, he hit 238. So he had limited sample size over the course of 3 seasons, 12, 13, and 14 in the Cuban series, but played for Santiago de Cuba in the Cuban National Baseball Series. Began his career in the Astros organization, the Dominican League, 2016. And then he was in Bow Creek, Quad Cities, made the climb up. And then in 2019, made the 2 stops there. And again, playing, position-wise, mostly shortstop, second base, middle infield guy, could play some third, but shortstop, second base right there. I would think he's going to be in the mix for both positions, and Joe likes flexibility, but Annabel Sierra is the new Monarch right there. And also, in case you missed this one, this is a welcome back, a good story to see back, but Kevin Lennox, young man out of California, was inked earlier this week as well in your Hot Stove update. Lennox was a part of the ball club in 2019. And remember, Lennox is a former Royals farmhand. Do you recall June 1st of 2019? Besides my brother's birthday, June 1st was the day that the then Kansas City T-Bones had 2 players' contracts purchased in the same day. Eric Stout was purchased by the Cincinnati Reds that day, and then you had Lennox that day as well, who was purchased by Seattle that day, on the same day. Same day, 2 players signed, and actually Boston. But Kevin was signed by Boston. It was Stout by the Reds, but that was the same day, June 1st, 2019, where he had, and twice that year, did you realize twice that year there were 2 players' contracts purchased by big league clubs from your Kansas City ball club? How about that? Pretty impressive. But yes, Lennox back. Lennox spent time with the Royals. He got to AAA Omaha, was a teammate of Stouts, but Lennox back, big right-hander, throws hard. Should be great to have him back in the lineup mix. I mean, in the pitching mix, he only pitched a couple of times for Kansas City, but was through strikes. Was a great addition. Joe liked the makeup of the young man. He's got a long career and fits that mold of a guy that has got some skins in the wall as a professional, and while not being in the big league, he's been close. And this is a guy that's on the cusp, and a guy that fits the mold that we look for, that Joe looks for, I should say. He's out of California, Mission Hills, California. and went to Cal State Dominguez Hills, also Hawaii Pacific, and then was a free agent signee. Do you remember the story I told in the broadcast? He was a free agent signee from that California Winter League, went to a Rangers tryout, got signed out of a tryout, went to Spokane with the Rangers, and then wound up with Kansas City, and then wound up with Boston and spent time at AA, AAA. And he actually, the real problem for him in 2019 for Kevin was the injury bug. He had an oblique strain at AA, and he wound up actually got promoted to AAA. It kind of carried over from AA, was rehabbing, didn't really finish the season strong in 19, but if he does have the oblique strain, he's got a chance at being in the big leagues with the Red Sox. So this is a guy right on the cusp. But again, welcome back, Kevin Linick, to the ball club. So that will round things out. I was going to give you the roster. We've gone too long today. Don't know why that happens, right? I guess it's what Vaughn does, right? He just goes and goes. All right. Coming up is our future shows. Looking at the calendar-wise, our next scheduled show is going to be on March 2nd. That's going to be a Tuesday. And the reason it's on a Tuesday is I will be unavailable on Wednesday the 3rd. So we're going to do this on Tuesday the 2nd. I've already lined up Steve Schuster. He's the voice of the Winnipeg Goldeyes there in Manitoba. Steve will join us. We're going to talk about their season last year and being nomads. Also want to get his insight into analytics. He's really into that. And just start to get a look at what's going on in their division. We're going to start putting these guys in, all the voices of the other teams. Plus, I've reached out to a couple of players. Jamison McGrain will be joining us in the near future. I've reached out to Darnell Sweeney, planning to have him on. Also, as I mentioned earlier, Morgan will have her own little segment weekly almost pretty much when we get going down the road. And we're also going to meet the Monarchs front office. That's all coming up for our future shows. Next show, though, mark it now, lunchtime, March 2nd, right here on the Kansas City Monarchs Facebook page. Of course, you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. What am I missing here? YouTube, Snapchat. All the cool kids are doing it, right? All the cool kids are doing what the cool kids are doing. We're cool kids. We're the Kansas City Monarchs. We are the ultimate cool kids in the American Association. So follow us on social media. You can follow me at Dan Vaughn Jr. on Twitter. I'll follow you back. I guarantee you. Give me some time, but I'll follow you back and love to hear from you. Big thanks to Morgan Kalinda for joining us. Talk about a heart of gold and a heart for the brand and for our game and just what she does. We're so blessed to have her, and thank you for all you do, Morgan. Thank you for being a part of it. For all you folks that join me, you're the best fans. I say it every broadcast. I believe this. Our Kansas City fans, the best in the American Association. Big thanks to the American Association, too, for supporting us and what they're doing. We're going to talk more about them. We're going to be having more and more American Association content as well going forward. I don't think people realize what a great league we are a part of. The American Association is the premier league of this type in the world, and it's modeled after worldwide, both in Australia, Japan, and Taiwan, and Korea. Folks are watching what we do in the American Association, what they do, what we do. It's exciting going ahead to have what we have going in 2021. We're in great hands with the two Joshes up there at the HQ in the league. And a big thanks to the entire front office, Mark Brandmeier, the ownership group. Just thanks for supporting what we're doing here on Monarchs Live. Great things ahead. A long show, I know, but the schedule required it. But looking forward to 2021. And in case you missed it, the schedule is out, and we broke it down, and you can watch this rewind and watch it back in real time. And, I didn't give this graphic to you. I got to give this to you before I close. How about this little cool thing I put up? This is kind of cool. There we go. Monarchs Live special edition with Morgan. How about that? Well, that was kind of cool. That was my Twitter thing earlier today. Also, we'll be rebranding some of this content. You'll see some Monarchs minutes from this very show. We'll have those coming to you as well down the line. But it's been a crazy week here. And I mentioned that we didn't do a show on Wednesday, and I'll be honest with you, because I felt a little odd. A lot of my neighbors really across the street from me here in the Metroplex were without power. My next door neighbor was burst pipes. They were squeegeeing water out of their house yesterday. Our entire block, while we had lights and power in our house, up the street was like walking through a dark forest. You couldn't see anything but outlined the buildings. There was no lights for blocks and blocks on end. And I just felt running all the power, the lights I use, I got all these lights going and running the internet, all the things on Wednesday. I just felt like it was not the right thing to be doing. when my neighbors were suffering. So I apologize for that, but I really believe in being, showing some love and empathy. And that's what we'll close with. Let's be better tomorrow than we were today. Let's be better Monarch fans, better fans of our league, better fans of each other. Let's show the love. Let's keep getting better. That's my goal every day, to be better tomorrow, just a little bit, and keep loving and keep going forward and keep sharing this Monarch love and this See at the Ballpark coming up this 2021 season. Again, thanks for joining me here. We'll see you guys on March 2nd. Of course, breaking news, any hot stove news, I'll break in and give that to you in a timely manner right here on Facebook Live as well. Again, thanks to Morgan for joining me. Thanks to you folks for joining me worldwide as well. Love y'all. We'll see y'all. And hey, go Monarchs.